I'll go ahead and call the October 19th, 7 p.m. Board of Supervisors workshop to order. I will lead us in the pledge, and then Mr. Hodges is going to lead us in the invocation. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this time to come together. Just pray you give those traveling mercies to those who might be having to leave early the meeting this evening or might be attending later on. I also pray just to continue to watch over those first responders that serve not only in our community but across the nation, and those that also serve in uniform and those who don't serve in uniform that we'll never know about, Lord, in places that we'll never also realize where they serve. So we pray that you watch over them as they do the best they can to protect our country, and just give us wisdom in our deliberations as we continue to try to do the common good. Amen.
Amen. Move on to item 4, request to postpone the agenda item, delete, change the order of presentation. Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move on to item 6, which is certificates of appreciation. We have a proclamation for the Federation of Women's Club Junior Month. And I don't think there's anyone here, so can we get a motion to approve the proclamation as presented?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do you need to poll us on this one, Pat? No. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move on to the first public comment period. This is the first of our 2 public comment periods. We invite the members of the public to share their thoughts on matters and issues that are germane to county business. This is not a forum for criticism of specific individuals or attacks on any person or group. It's also not the forum for political campaigning or promoting a business. Please keep your comments focused on the issues and subject matter over which this board has responsibility, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes if you're an individual, 5 minutes if you're representing a group.
Hi, my name is Lisa Shiver, and I live on Lake Louise Drive. And on Saturday morning, we lost our lake drastically and immediately. Don't know exactly what happened, but something broke in the drain pipe, and all of the water is gone from the lake now. It's a main spot where the fire department comes. It's a dry hydrant. They come and they get water from the area. It's not there anymore. We'd like help to get it back.
Wow. Thank you for your comment.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Joe Washington, and I also live on 2904 Lake Louise Drive. I'm a military combat vet. I was in Vietnam. I served with a combat unit, 3rd Battalion, 26th Marines over there. And I was very surprised when I got calls on Saturday morning that our beloved lake had been drained. What had happened, I had VDOT come out this morning, and they say the pipe that leads into the overflow had broken, and the water just spilled out of it across the road into a spillage area. And like Lisa, we would like to get our lake back, but I come to you asking this panel here and the supervisor of the county to help us restore our lake, because the lake is no more. And I do have a picture on my cell phone if someone wants to look at it, and I hope y'all would take it under consideration. I'm not only speaking for myself, as Lisa was, but we're speaking for the entire community down there. They asked us to come up to speak to you all also. Thank you very much.
Could you pass that up here, your cell phone picture?
Sure.
Mr. Washington, thank you for your service to the country, and thank you for coming tonight.
It was my pleasure. I'm willing to serve, and I would do it again.
What is
That picture was taken today.
You suggested that you email the pictures.
Yes. Mr. Washington, if you could email that picture to Mr. Altman, probably, at our county, is the head of our planning and assistant county administrator. If you could email that to him, he may be able to give you a card. You can email from your phone. If you'll email that picture, then he can make sure we all get it.
To this email address here?
Just pass them out.
Certainly, I would do that.
We'll get it on email.
Thank you.
If you'll email it to us, they'll make sure we all get the picture, and it'll be a little easier than looking at it on a phone, and we can get a real feel for it. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak, please come forward at this time. If not, I'll close the public comment period. We'll move on to item 8A, appointments of boards, commissions. This is Community Policy and Management Team, down on page 4 of your packet. This is actually an appointment in District 5.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to reappoint or ask for the reappointment of Karen Bailey Alexander, who served well on this committee already.
Any questions? I'll second that. Having set into some of these meetings and to understand the complexities of this committee, I think Ms. Alexander would be a good addition to this committee. So I'll second that motion. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Motion passed. Those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Now we'll move on to the action items. 9A of the voting credentials for Virginia Association of Counties 2015 annual business meeting on November the 10th. I know we talked about this last meeting. Mr. Williams was under the weather. I do have an update. I will be able to attend that. I was going to do shoulder surgery, but I've decided to delay that a little while longer till I can get closer to after Christmas, hopefully, if the doctor will accommodate me. So I will be able to attend that meeting that day. So.
Is it a one-day meeting, Bill? Is that
Well,
what it is?
it's a 3-day meeting, but it's the annual conference that I went to last year, but I would want to go up that day and spend some time and then be there as a voting member from Powhatan. The voting takes pretty quick. You discuss some items and then you vote, and I just felt it was I would like to go up that day and come back. So.
No, that is fine. Are you the only person that's going? I'm not interested in going.
Pat's attending the meeting. She has an award she's going to be receiving from the county, so Pat will be attending the meeting, yes.
An award from which county? For the county?
For the county, yes.
Okay. Is that going to be just one day, or is that going to be for the whole conference?
She'll be there
for the
whole conference.
What's the cost of the conference now? I've lost track.
We'll get you a cost of the conference.
Well, I mean, don't we have some idea what the fiscal impact would be? I mean,
I don't have it with me, David. We can get that. I think we all received the email from VACO
Yes.
several times from VACO, and I think the county had sent it out too, asking if anybody wanted to attend. At that time, I couldn't attend because of my commitment to having surgery. But we can get that dollar figure. It's I don't have it. I don't want to quote, so we'll get you we'll give you the figure. I think it's important, as I said last time, I felt like that Chesterfield had their county administrator there, Henrico had their county administrator there, Mr. Davis was there from Hanover. I feel like it's a great networking opportunity, and we should have a representative there to make sure we're staying on top of things and listening to what the different seminars that are going on. I wished I had the time to attend this year, but unfortunately I don't with all that's going on. So. But I will be there that day for the voting credentials and attending some of the classes that morning before the voting. So, but we'll get you the cost.
that's fine.
We do need a motion from the board on your designee for voting.
I move that we appoint Mr. Melton to be our voting representative.
We have a motion on the floor to have me be the voting credentials at the VACO conference.
Yeah, a second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we need to poll the board on this one? Nope. Okay. Just don't want to break any rules here. So all in favor of the motion as it presented?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And we'll make sure we get you the dollar figure. Number 9B, the resolution in support of the stormwater opt-out. That's found on page 13. I think, Mr. Altman, you're going to take this one?
As the board's aware, I think 2 years ago, my first night, we talked about stormwater, and at that time, we talked about the ability to push it down the road a little bit. We did opt out in 14 from the requirements of the stormwater management, DEQ stormwater management requirements. There has been a renewal of an effort to have all those communities that have the opt-out provision have that language in the state legislation taken away. So we have a resolution this evening that has been circulated amongst the different communities in the Commonwealth. And you received in your packet a list of communities that had already approved. Since that time, 6 more communities have approved resolutions adopting this language. We would strongly urge you to. We want to maintain our ability to be in the program or not be in the program at our choosing, not at the state's choosing. I do know in some conversations with some people that serve on a committee at DEQ discussing stormwater that they're looking at and potentially next year coming out with a revised set of standards that would be more inclusive and a little bit easier for everyone to enforce. So it may be in our best interest, I think, at least to wait to that point in time before we make a decision to opt in or out. So I would strongly urge the board to adopt the resolution this evening. If there's any questions you have of me regarding it, I'd be happy to answer it.
Any questions of staff?
No, this is the same position, excuse me, Mr. Chairman. This is the same position we took, when we had the infamous meeting?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Hey, again, this topic has been, actually, when we first got elected, we attended a conference for training purposes, and one of the most lengthy classes that we were in was all about stormwater management, and the DEQ was in front of us, and they couldn't answer probably even 25% of the questions that were asked of them, and people left very frustrated. And then it was a conference that I sat in at VACO last year, and it was still as cloudy then as it was today. So I'm, as Mr. Williams, it's the same stance that we have been. When they clean it up and it can be understandable and managed in a fair fashion, then I'll be very interested in supporting it, but not at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R 2015-98, which specifically opposes any recommendation to reverse the action taken in 2014 by the General Assembly to allow counties to opt out. That is, we're opposing taking that right out away from us.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Tucker?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Nordvig?
Aye.
Mr. Hodge?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye. We'll move on to item 10A.
Motion passes.
Excuse me, I apologize. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Pat. We'll move item 10A is ordinance 2015-28 to conditional rezone approximately 45 acres of land located along Rocky Ford Road from residential R2 to A10 with proper conditions, found on page 20 of your packet. Mr. Altman, you're...
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this evening, just for discussion purposes, the applicant, Mr. Robert L. Hertzler, has requested the rezoning of approximately 45 acres along Rocky Ford Road. With this rezoning, he will consolidate this 45 plus or minus acres with an additional property, creating about a 75-acre parcel. I think one of the keys here is on the parcels that are rezoned, those existing flags then get incorporated into the adjoining properties. So we eliminate approximately, I think it's 6 flags along Rocky Ford Road in this process. There will be an additional, the 4 lots that are currently on the road will remain. They'll remain in R2. The current request is consistent with our comp plan from the perspective that we encourage this area for rural preservation. Taking the zoning back to an A10 designation is consistent with that. The existing lots that are on Rocky Ford Road that will remain they're already there. That is an existing condition, so we're not dealing with those. However, the request is generally in compliance with the comp plan. The public hearing was conducted by the Planning Commission at their October 6th meeting. After some discussion, the Planning Commission voted 4-1 to recommend approval to the Board of Supervisors of the request. Any questions that the board has of me, I'd be happy to answer it. We'll be bringing this to you at your November meeting for public hearing.
Any questions of staff?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. March, I don't need a name of who voted against, but can you tell me what the objection was?
The thought process was that the preference would have been for all the parcels to be rezoned, not just those that are being requested.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions of staff?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Altman. We'll move on to, wow, we're rolling here. Second public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward at this time. If you'd like to speak on anything, please come forward.
Yes, hi, my name is Jim Adams. I live on Rocky Ford Road. This is probably an easy one. My Comcast bill came a few days ago and seemed to, and I'm not exactly certain, but it seemed to imply that there is, well, no, it was specific that there was an additional 50 cents incorporated into my monthly bill. It seemed to imply that this was because of a new law passed by Powhatan County or a new requirement. It absolutely placed the blame on Powhatan County. And I don't recall any reference about that when we renewed the agreement with Comcast, and I would hope someone might answer that question at some point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
My name's Robert Phelan. I live on Lake Louise Drive. You're aware of the lake that drained out sometime Friday night, Saturday morning? What can we do about that?
Sir, we don't typically answer questions at a public comment period. We will sometimes answer them at the board comment period, and I think I will be glad to offer some suggestions and thought process in that whole thing, but we don't typically answer questions directly back in a public comment period, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And what was your last name again? I'm sorry?
Phelan. If you're not passing, you're failing.
Thank you, sir.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Phelan.
I asked that question before.
Any other people, anyone else wishing to speak, please come forward at this time. If not, I'll close the second public comment period. We're now on to county administrator comments.
I have no comments.
And now we're on to item 13, any board comments at this time?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr.
I'll jump out there first. On the Lake Louise issue, I was contacted by John Ritz in your community. You probably know John. And walking and knocking during the last couple of weeks. It hadn't happened then, but it's happened now. So I would ask, obviously, March to check on this, our Director of Community Development, to find out if we've got a role in trying to fix what happened. And actually, it sounds like you guys have a handle a little bit on what happened, perhaps from VDOT, but not crystal clear on exactly what happened. So maybe we can find out exactly, what needs to be fixed and what the county's role, if anything, may be. I also don't know if DEQ is going to get their fingers in this too, because it's a large body of water as well. And I left a message for John this afternoon, but I didn't get a chance to get back to him. Left him a voicemail message. So it's good your community's here. You came and spoke at this meeting as well. I don't think John was able to make it, but I appreciate the phone calls. So if March can keep me in the loop on what you find out as we dig down, and we'll try to see what the status is of that. Second thing is you walk and knock. Had a gentleman over in Red Lane a couple of Saturdays ago mentioned, and this is something maybe for, I don't know if this goes to the county administrator or somewhere down the line, but maybe we can check on this. And that is with the transfer station. I think over the years we've changed, obviously, in the containers that they used to take the trash away from the semi-trailer to Now they've got the basically specially designed containers to take those things away. And he had mentioned a couple of times he had been turned away due to basically overcapacity. So I don't know how often that may happen, but if we could check on that. I don't know if they know they changed the containers, but the question is if they did change the container size, I would assume that our contract with Waste Management, they would up the number of trips, in other words, on a volume basis issue. So just let me know on that. I'm going to get back to him. I told him I'd check on it, and I wasn't aware of that. I know we changed kind of the containers over the years, but those semis certainly got beat up when they put that compactor in there. I know over the years I've gone there. So maybe someone can check on that, let me know, and see if that's just a couple of isolated incidents we had there or if it's a real issue that reoccurs, and I don't know if that's a waste management issue or a days of operation issue or an amalgamation of both. So would appreciate someone checking on that for me, but I appreciate the people from Lake Louise community coming and voicing your concerns about the lake as soon as you found out about it. That's good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other board comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Thursday morning at 10 o'clock at the Rescue Squad building, the Powhatan Resource Council will be meeting. The Resource Council is a group that's come together of now 26 charitable organizations who service people in the county, and everything you can imagine from Feed the Hungry to Habitat for Humanity, et cetera. The purpose of the Resource Council is to share ideas among the 26 agencies that do that work so that they can find economies of scale and help each other out, and maybe even do away with redundancies of services. The public is invited. Mr. Williams, I know that you're going to attend. Would you like to say anything about it?
No, I was going to say the same thing, essentially that you said, and encourage people to attend, because they're really charged up in development of this directory and having it such that people in the community have easy access to whatever services, resources they need, given the situation that's confronting them at that time. So I'm excited about the meeting. Look forward to it. 10 o'clock Thursday morning.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, there's an event on October 31st. It's easy to remember because it's Halloween. It's called Race for Taylor. It's a rescheduled event from earlier this month. Taylor Roberts lives in my district, and I just spoke with her dad day before yesterday. It's truly a worthy cause. What this is a 9 o'clock in the morning on that Saturday. There's actually a event on the track at the high school, including wheelchair people, young kids, that can do a kind of a preliminary race. And then I think at 9:30 is a 4 or 5K race through the cross-country course at the high school. They're encouraging people to dress for Halloween, which ought to be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And people can register. If you can just Google Taylor Roberts race, Powhatan, Virginia, and it'll come up right away. But it's actually on active.com/Powhatan, I think, dash for VA. And if you get that far, you're going to come up with it. So there is an online registration. The 27th is the deadline, but I really encourage people to attend. She was injured in a car accident not far from my home in February, and she had severe spinal cord injury, which was stabilized, but she's a real workhorse. She's a fine young lady, 20 years old, and she's got a lot of rehabilitation still ahead of her, and this is to help the family out. The Roberts family is a real fine, upstanding family, and I encourage everybody to spread the word and attend. Thanks.
I have a couple things. So as far as Lake Louise, it was a very unfortunate situation. I was going to encourage you to reach out to DEQ also. I know that when the new dam standards went through, there was a lot of inspections and done in the county on many different lakes. Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, Milkwater had a fair amount of work that their association had to do to bring their dam up to standards because of the amount of water it holds, and the height of the dams were very important. Don't know if there's any funds in any DEQ funds that may be able to facilitate this repair or not, but I think that's the best place to start. But it was a dam inspection done on, from my understanding, any dams over a certain height and holding a certain amount of water back had to be inspected, and if they weren't up to standards, they actually had to be brought to standards, which was pretty burdensome on some communities. There is an October 26th broadband meeting that will be rolled out here. We hope it's well attended. There'll be a lot of information that evening, and hopefully a lot of people asking questions, and we'll do the best that we can, or I should say staff will do the best that they can to answer as many of those questions as possible. If not, we'll definitely follow up. Mr. Adams, to your answer, that's called a PEG fee. And we did vote as a board to attach a PEG fee to the bill. It's a 50 cents fee. It's called Public Education Government Fee. We're going to use it to try to facilitate broadband or the broadcasting and equipment to be put our Board of Supervisors meetings on so people that can attend can still watch the meetings. That's what it's for. So we did vote it. It was, from my understanding, they were supposed to have been doing it and they had not done it. So they attached it to this bill, I assume, because you got one. I do not have Comcast. I'm not blessed enough to have Comcast where I live.
Good catch, by the way.
But
good catch.
But anyway, so we are holding their feet to that, and that we expect that, and it is the purpose. Mr. Hodge, I think, and all of us felt like we talked very much that night about using that to be able to facilitate, to be able to have the equipment here and to broadcast our meetings live so everyone could participate and hear.
I think that's the wording was very much pointed.
Well, I'm sure. Anytime they can spend something, we've found that they'd like to do that. Tom's smiling, so we will leave that one alone.
Well, we look at it this way, Mr. Chairman. Whoever thought that this would be pay-for-view for Board of Supervisors meeting?
Anyway, we'll leave that one alone too, Mr. Williams.
I'm with you.
I did get a phone call again, and I've had several over the last probably 3 or 4 months. Ms. Weiler's met with some of the individuals, and I think Mr. Altman has, about some noise in the village coming from off of the rescue squad building. And the other evening, music was still playing at 10:25, and there was a group of people who were very upset by that. We have a permit if you're doing a public event that you have to fill out, and then that permit will restrict you in the length of the music and how long it can be played. But if it's a private event, there is really no restriction. And I know the rescue squad organization is working to make sure that they be good neighbors, and it's something they're going to consider. But it was 10:20, and the call went into the sheriff's office, and they promptly went over, and the music did, get turned down or at least stopped at that point. So that's all I have for board comment periods. Anybody else? Any more?
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All those
Well done, Mr.
opposed?
Chairman. I think this might have been a record.